The guy who wrote and acted in this movie would go on to direct the Guardians of the Galaxy films and helm the DCU for Warner Brothers. James Gunn. I am pleased to introduce you to The Specials. Released in 2000, directed by Craig Mazin and written by James Gunn, this film follows the 6th or 7th most popular superhero team in this world. Not being the most popular team comes with a peculiar set of challenges for these heroes. One being dealing with boring stuff like small level alien invasions and low level disasters. I'm going to be going over the story, and after that I'm going to pitch my idea for a sequel, so stick around to the end. So anyways, let's get into it. The movie starts out with an office style interview with the Specials' newest member, Shelly, aka Nightbird. She says she's excited to join, and people look down on the Specials because they're not the most popular team. It's like, in DC Universe terms, the Justice League being number one, and the Specials are like the Global Guardians, a team that I've never even heard of until I googled it while making this video. Next, we see a montage of the characters getting ready in the morning. We first see Rob Lowe's character, Tony, aka the Weevil, waking up and immediately lighting a cigarette. Absolute deviant behavior. Next, we see Jamie Kennedy, famous from Son of the Mask. He plays Amik, a former supervillain with the power to harness antimatter. He's this film's resident sex pest, always hitting on female characters throughout the film, and you might think that he's like Nightcrawler and be able to teleport, but you'd be wrong. Next, we see Thomas Hayden Church, and I'm not sure how to say his name, Paget Brewster, playing superhero husband and wife Ted and Emily, aka the Strobe and Miss Indestructible, respectively. We then get the title drop. It kind of looks like the Spider-Man title logo. Then we continue meeting the members with Kelly Caulfield and Sean Gunn's characters, Power Chick and Doug, who is an alien, by the way. His superhero name might be the Alien Orphan, but I'm not super sure. I love how James Gunn always makes his brother look and act stupid in his movies, and in this one, he's an alien that acts absolutely ridiculous throughout the film.
His people reproduce asexually. Reproduce asexually, and that man's coming to take your toy train sound very similar.
In the opening montage, he eats a stick of butter. Straight up gross. Next, we see several people who play the hero 8, who is 8 people who share one mind. But anyways, we continue with Judy Greer's character waking up. She's deadly girl. She can talk to the dead or something like that. Anyways, we continue to see James Gunn, who plays Minuteman.
Minute Man. Do I look like a soldier from the Revolutionary War? I don't think so. Am I wearing a three-cornered hat? No. I turned small. Think!
Fuck you!
I mean Minute Man. He gets small. Then we see Mike Schwartz, who is playing US Bill, who is stupid, but also stupid strong. Lastly, we meet Jim Zulevic's Seymour, aka Mr. Smart. He's super smart, and we see him put this giant contraption on his face. It's a machine that gives him super smelling powers. The rest of the team gets ready and heads to their headquarters, a normal house in the suburbs. Nightbird comes into the HQ and greets everyone one at a time. We see the Weevil and Amik sitting on the couch watching the news. They're excited to see that the Weevil made it on there, as the team is getting a line of action figures based on them. This is the plot of the whole movie, basically. So the most prestigious thing a superhero can get is an action figure based off of them. Good promotion and good money. So the news shows interviews with the entire team, but cut to Nightbird walking into the Weevil. They get introduced and we can see that she's a big fan and looks up to him. This will be important going forward. Now cut to a team meeting. They bicker a bit until the Strobe says to Amik and the rest of the team that they need to watch the words they say to people because they've been getting bad press due to his dirty mouth. He says he doesn't care because he wants to be a normal, famous, bad superhero who has a lot of sex and parties a lot. And Deadly Girl has a cutaway interview where she says that she summoned the dead at a kid's bar mitzvah and
got drunk at a bat mitzvah, unthinkingly summoned forth demons, and they ate a kid.
We then see the Weevil chatting with Miss Indestructible, which doesn't mean much, but later we'll see more of these two together, so watch out. Cut to James Gunn asking Nightbird out on a date. I think this is a kind of like an abuse of power. Boo. Tonight the team has a dinner party that the toy company that's making their action figures are throwing to reveal the figures, so then US Bill gives Nightbird a tour of the house. And then they cover stuff like the electricity meter, some salt shakers, the furnace room, Power Chick's garden, and the electricity meter. We spend more time getting to know the Specials. And then we cut to Bel Air. Strobe is having lunch with Jerry, aka Zip Boy, a former superhero who is now a rich businessman who helps superpowered people and washed up superheroes find profitable jobs where they use their powers. He also has super speed, but we never see it, and he offers the Strobe a welding job that pays 6 figures, but he turns down the offer because he's righteous and being a superhero is cool, even if you're not a popular one. We then get a brief history of the Specials team. Strobe and Minute Man found founded the team. Originally it had 5 members: Miss Indestructible, the Strobe, the Weevil, Minute Man, and Stretchy Boy. Apparently stretchy powers are very common for people from the Northwest.
Something about the fluoridation in the water.
Yeah, unfortunately the same chemicals that gave him his superpowers gave him a type of mouth cancer, and he was dead in 6 months.
Cut to the bedroom of the Strobe and Miss Indestructible, who are having an argument before the reception. He is also shaving his chest. But cut to the reception. US Bill is having a conversation with one of the toy company execs. Then we see Minute Man going to pick up Nightbird. He comes inside first and he tries to make a move on her, but she declines his advance. Luckily, we also see the Weevil and Amik. They're in a car having a conversation. They're sleazebags. Boom! Surprise James Gunn cutaway.
The thing about not getting the person that you love is that you can still think about that person and masturbate, which is essentially the same thing.
Cut back to the reception. Now in the bathroom, US Bill is in the bathroom brushing his teeth. The smart guy comes in and US Bill makes a fuss about his mask being off as he wants to hide his face. Keep that in mind as it's gonna come back in a bit. Smart guy begs him to take off the smelly machine because it's stuck and he's going insane smelling everything. US Bill obliges and then proceeds to rip off the machine along with a part of the guy's nostril. Cut back to the reception. The specials are all down on the floor, pressing the flesh, getting interviewed and stuff, blah blah. Then we see the smart guy has a tampon on his face to cover his bloodied nose. Amik stares at Nightbird's chest. Then we see Miss Indestructible call over the Weevil. They go outside and later we see the Strobe walk outside to look for her and he sees them having sex in a car. Cut back to him going back into the reception. The same exec goes onto the stage and he introduces and reveals the action figure commercial and it's horrendous. The Weevil's figure has a harpoon gun, which he doesn't use in real life. The Strobe's figure has a sleeveless vest and an arm tattoo and he's shocked because he's all about good moral values and tattoos are absolutely disgusting. Mr. Smart's action figure looks awful and he has the play feature of spitting out skin burning acid, which he is unpleased with, and its head isn't even his. It's from an action figure line that didn't sell well, so they just reused the head. US Bill's figure is the next to come up and he has a chainsaw weapon and a removable mask, which he is very upset with. Next we see Doug's figure. It's introduced as the special's evil arch nemesis, the shape-shifting alien orphan who is a green fridge with legs. But that's not all. Deadly Girl is his evil sidekick and her figure has a clown head and a meat thermometer, just a normal meat thermometer. Miss Indestructible's figure has a huge rack and the ability to shoot her head off to and Amik's figure is a blue Viking with a battle axe. Minute Man's figure looks nothing like him because James Gunn is a Caucasian man and the figure is a black guy with his fishing rod of death.
I'm black. We had to take a little more of a multicultural approach.
But I'm not black.
I think you have vaguely African features.
The specials then take the stage and the Strobe breaks character and calls the figures how they are. Absolute horseshit. He then says the special are over as of now and they all leave. On the way out, Weevil chases after the Strobe and he confronts the Weevil saying he knows he's crushing his wife behind his back. Deadly Girl hears this and then walks up to Miss Indestructible and decks her in the face. So not so indestructible at all because she has a black eye in scenes going forward. Back at Deadly Girl's place, this lady with the sun around her head comes up to Deadly Girl and invites her to join the Femme 5, a popular female superhero team that consists of like 7 women because numbers are a patriarchal byproduct. But anyways, cut back to Nightbird coming to talk to Miss Indestructible about all the team's bullshit and how she joined because she just wanted to fight evildoers. But anyways, cut back to Deadly Girl's house. Minute Man shows up. They talk for a bit and they eventually get to hooking up. But cut back to Miss Indestructible. She's watching her wedding tape and crying. But forget about that because let's cut to the Weevil in a meeting with another superhero. Why is he there? Because he's getting recruited to a popular superhero team, the Crusaders. But anyways, forget about that. Let's catch up with the Strobe now. He's at a diner and H shows up to talk to him about his decision. His decision remains unchanged. Then we cut to US Bill at his mom's place. She comforts him after the long night. They talk and then they laugh like absolute maniacs. Now let's see what the rest of the team are up to. Power Chick, Doug, Amik, and Mr. Smart are at a club. Mr. Smart beelines it straight to a pinball machine that he sees, while Amik, Power Chick, and Doug get a table and drink. Amik says something absolutely horrendous. So since the team is dissolved and they won't be getting paychecks anymore, his plan is to go back to being a supervillain. But this time his gimmick will be essaying dogs.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Power Chick talks him out of it, and eventually Amik makes a move on Power Chick, but she's a lesbian. Doug then stares at some people dancing with some cool camera movement and sci-fi sound effect. and he goes off to dance. He then proceeds to start a dance sequence, and eventually all the members go on the stage to dance as well. I love this, and I'm glad that years later, James Gunn is still giving us dance numbers, like in Guardians and the Peacemaker intro. Fast forward to Doug. He's hanging off of something as Amek tries again to make a move on Power Chick, so she again tells him that she's a lesbian. This guy is awful. Cut to the Weevil, who finds Nightbird. They have a conversation about the night's events, and surprisingly, he doesn't make a move on her, and instead they have an emotional talk where she confides that the specials are important to weird kids out there because she was one of those weird and strange kids, so there needs to be role models for people like her. She then tells him a secret about herself, and it's that she can lay eggs. He takes that information and keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that he's a dick. So cut to the next day, back at the specials HQ meeting room. The strobe is sitting there, and Miss Indestructible comes in and they talk for a bit. He doesn't forgive her, and instead he says that now he will be emotionally distant, even more than before. Then the rest of the team show up, and he tells them that the team is still done, but just then they hear the TV, so they go to watch, and it's the Weevil being interviewed as he's announced that he's joining the Crusaders. In the interview, he takes every chance he can to shit on the specials, and even discloses Nightbird's secret of laying eggs, which brings her to tears. The team then comforts her. They agree he's a dick, and we find out that her eggs contain an item that can help her at that very moment. An alarm then goes off, and Miss Indestructible says the Pentagon has been taken over by giant ants, and all the other teams are busy doing other superhero stuff, so it's game time. Through everything they've been through, and through losing the shit stain, which is the Weevil, all of them get ready and power up and go out there as a team again. Now we get the one time in the whole movie where we see their powers. We get these power-up shots that are so corny, but I absolutely love them. My personal favorite is Doug's. It's absolutely ridiculous. Lastly, we get a team shot. Then smash cut to black. We pop back in and we get more interviews to round out the movie. Miss Indestructible says that she would rather be somewhere else but belongs on the specials. Next, we get the strobe, and he makes a joke that he's been shooting up dope, but says it's a joke and that he's been trying to lighten up and connect more with young people. Next is Nightbird. She says that she has super hearing because of her bird powers, which will be handy when she has to testify in court. Mr. Smart's the last one we see who gets an interview segment, and he has a new machine that helps people smile. He talks about it for a little, and then he starts laughing like a lunatic when it starts working. The other members don't get segments, but we get a paparazzi guy following the Weevil on the street. He calls him a sellout, and then the Weevil charges the photographer, showing that his reputation has been tainted by the whole ordeal. Cut to the credits, and at the end of the credits, we get an in memory of for Stretchy Boy. So, the end. So I like this movie. Despite the weak critical reception, I think it's alright. And while not all the jokes land, we get tones of Gunn's future writing style. So interesting to watch his films over the years and see how far he's come. I'm really excited for Superman Legacy, and I'd recommend that you guys check out this movie for yourself, as I probably didn't do it much justice, if there is justice to be done for it. And here's my suggestion for the sequel, by the way. Coming out in summer 2025, The Specials 2, Life Goes On. 25 years later, we catch up with all the members and we see where they are now. As the team has been dissolved for a while, they've all horribly aged and are out of shape, some with children and some without. Amek is in jail. We will get one cutaway seeing him having a bad time in there, and that's it. I don't want that guy in my movie. Also, one member will probably be dead, and we'll play it off as a joke, so US Bill is dead. He got hit by a car after walking the street to grab a nickel or something. I don't know. So the story of this will probably be Nightbird goes out to each of them to try and reunite one last time, but won't say why. She's gonna be lying, trying to say that there's a big disaster or big evil supervillain coming, but it's lies. Eventually we'll find out it's because she's terminally ill and wants to recreate the best time of her life. In the end, they do, and we'll get a battle that we actually see. They'll fight some monsters attacking the city. It'll have really bad effects to keep with the tone of the first, and at the end of the film, Doug will probably step up, speak English properly, and pull out some alien tech that will just magically cure her. So we'll get a happy ending. They all go separate ways in the end with one final goodbye, and that's my idea for the sequel. I don't think the idea is good, but like, I tried, and that's the only thing I promised at the start. So Yeah. Lastly, shout out to the director Craig Mazin, not sure how to say that name, but he also wrote my favorite Scary Movie 3, along with my favorite Hangover movie, The Hangover 2, and who would go on to write for The Last of Us HBO series and direct an episode. Absolutely ridiculous. What a come up. But enough of the specials. So on my channel, I've been streaming my script writing for these videos on YouTube, so pop in later and you can tell me if you have any suggestions to cover. If you want, no need, no worries. Other than that, but anyways, thanks for watching. Cheers.
2 years ago, Mr. Smart went to the Greenwich Village Halloween parade dressed up as a Japanese POW.
Midnight slide through, finna blow her back out. Call it in a Call of Duty kill streak, blackout. Knocking out that pussy like I was Manny Pacquiao. Bitch, shut the fuck up, why the fuck you gon' tap out?